Well, you guys, we are live on Facebook. I cannot wait to hear all about emotional freedom technique. I've actually tried to fake it on animals and it didn't go well. So today we have Joan Ranquet with us, who just wrote the book. Literally, she is the one who wrote the book on emotional freedom technique for animals. Plus, she has this huge just resume of amazing gifts and talents. We were just chatting about how we don't know if our paths have ever crossed or not. We're like comparing notes, and so we might have missed each other, but we might not have. So it's been super fun to chat before we went live and discuss it. She is called the animal psychic or the animal communicator to the stars, and now lives you live not in Agoura. You used to live in Agoura. You now live out
I live in Santa Clarita, so just northeast of LA.
That's over by Magic Mountain, right?
Home of Magic Mountain.
Exactly. And so it's a small world. We have hung out in similar areas. I'm going to change our view, ladies. And so we can, and people are hopping on. I did drop the link in the main live stream, so feel free to jump in. And Heather, hello Julie, and Teresa, I saw you hop in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we cannot wait to learn about this today, Joan. Like I said, I faked it and it didn't go well.
Well, you know what, we might have to do this again a second time because we'll do it down with horses, but we can play with dogs today. Yeah, but we can talk all about it.
And this membership is all animals, so feel free to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Mostly it's horses, dogs, and cats, but we've had bee experts and bird experts on here. Yeah, we just love all animals and we want to help and heal. So that's our jam. We basically on this platform explore all things animal holistic. So
that's cool.
Yeah. And like Maureen, and I don't know about Julie. Julie came in through the back door on her red light therapy. I met Maureen when I first launched this membership, and I was like, girl, you are going to like exponentialize in this. And she has, and it's been so fun to see all the modalities she has added to her career and taught us now. She teaches us about stuff. So that's super fun. And lots of people in the membership are in your class.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love that.
Well, how did you get involved in all of this?
Well, I got involved because first and foremost, I grew up with horses, and I wouldn't say that like I was talking to animals in the way that I do now, but I was always really connected, and like everything I saw on your website, I just loved them and I wanted to help them, and I just felt really connected. And I was lucky that first I won a horse, and then my parents said, oh, you're too young to keep this horse, and they promised me that I could get another horse in a few years. And I held them to that promise, right? Like I was in 4-H. I eventually joined Pony Club. I was, one of those barn rats. And so they couldn't get rid of me. So I then got another horse when I was 10. And then I got a few horses. I rode through college. And then I got a degree in theater. I was in the film business and acting. And I lived in New York, and then my sister was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and I moved back to Seattle, and I got into alternative healing then, right? Like that minute I went to NYU, had a little holistic library for alternative healing. And this was 86 and I'm, it was microfiche and it was, you know what I mean? Like I was looking up all the stuff about visualization and meditating. And I'd always meditated and been drawn to that sort of thing. So um, I came home loaded down with all these books, and um, my parents just thought I was insane and that my sister was going to die on, when the doctor said, and they ended up just kind of, putting the books off on a shelf. And years later, so she died. And so I moved to Los Angeles. I didn't go back to New York. I came to Los Angeles, and I came in 1987 with my saddle, and I was going to get a horse. And so I got a horse, and she was like the most amazing horse of my life. She was a big, tall thoroughbred. And she was very, she was just quirky as all get out. She had so many fun quirks and personalities, and I was just absolutely amazed. And it was the first time that it was really helping me through my grief, but it was also the first time that I recognized that maybe I have a soulmate here. And I ended up breeding her to a horse, an Arabian. And the night, and I was really excited about this Anglo-Arab, right? And the night that she gave birth, she colicked and basically would have, could have, should have died that night. But we got her to the hospital, we got her into surgery, but now I had an orphan colt on my hands. And that's a whole other chapter. But so we kept her alive for probably 2 months. And she was in ICU almost the entire time. And I never put her together with Ponyboy, her baby. And in that time, I had used, prior to that, I'd used Lydia Hibby. This is like 91.
So you guys, we both have a mutual influence is Lydia Hibby. Lydia Hibby, when I was training horses in Sunland, California, we had a barn party and we invited Lydia Hibby, who's an animal communicator, to come out and talk to all the horses in training, and she really blew us away. It was pretty impressive, the words that came out of her mouth, and somewhat embarrassing too, I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah.
She doesn't hold back, let me tell you that.
No, she busted my sister for feeding my friend's dog mozzarella strips while she was house sitting. So yeah.
She loved to do that. She did similar, and she actually, I started this, so I better say it, is one of the young women that was a student of mine had a horse in training. She goes, "Oh, by the way, you're pregnant." And we're like, oh, because she wasn't married or anything. And we're just like, and she was, she totally was.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lydia was, so I'd used Lydia in the the late 80s and 90s. And I was really thought it was cooler. I loved what I was doing, but I thought if there's anything cooler than acting and writing, that was it, right? Like I had my eye on, I think I want to do what Lydia's doing. And anyway, so my horse was in ICU and I was bottle feeding a baby and essentially living in a stall. And I started doing energy healing. I had also learned a lot of energy healing before that. And I really tried to keep this horse alive. And when I eventually had to let her go, the vet had said that so she basically had adhesions throughout her entire gut from the initial surgery, colic surgery. And they said that the only place where there was live tissue was where I had placed my hands. And so I had really kind of freaked out a little bit about, I really had a lot to learn about like what was my will, what was God's will, what was the horse's will, like it scared me. So I backed away from the energy piece, but I was very excited about the communication still. Plus, I was living in a stall with an orphan colt. I mean, at some point, you just start communicating, right?
Now, Joan, where were you located at the time? You were
I
in
was,
LA, but what barn?
I was next door to the paddock
Okay.
at San Rafael Hunt Club, and it was hot summer nights like this that I was sweating in a barn feeding. Yeah, it was this time of year. This was 94. Anyway, I mean, it was a million years ago, 93.
That's
Anyway,
crazy. Yeah, I was actually training in Moore Park in 94, 95. So yes, it's amazing how
yeah,
similar our lives are. And
yeah.
I have a sister with a brain tumor right now.
Oh,
So she's doing really well. She's very well managed and she's fully functioning. But
well, they have, I mean, they know a lot more, right? They just didn't, it was terrible back. It was the Wild West
yeah,
with brain, you know?
absolutely. And so you went from that moment that it seems to be when all else fails is when you either rise or fall.
Yeah,
And you try anything, you do whatever you just grasp to help.
yeah. And I was not able to, and it's so funny, like I ended up writing a book called Energy Healing for Animals. So like I became an energy healer, but I backed away from it with Pet One at first because I really had to feel good about it. And then I had more things happen. I ended up acquiring a horse from a boyfriend that at the time, and I still have her. I knew her when she was young. And I mean, because obviously we were boarding at the same place. And then she's 36 years old, my 36-year-old Arab.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that she's what made me, she didn't want to do. So I ride dressage and she didn't want to do any of that. And in the end, she's the one that I could not find Lydia's phone number. And so I went from taking a class to, even though like Lydia had told me the basics and kind of taught a little bit, to doing a year program with Carol Gurney. Like it was supposed to be a phone call about this horse and it ends up becoming a career. So that's, I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy. And I also met Carol Kearney while I was in Southern California. And then I think I met her again in Northern California years and years later. So it's just astounding how similar our lives are. And I love LA. So
Me too.
I totally love LA. If I didn't, I just couldn't live the way I live up here down there because it's just so much more expensive. But I still have family in LA.
Yeah, I love it here. Like I took a few days off over the 4th of July and I was like, I mean, I'm out in nature every day. But I took a couple days where I went to museums in the Huntington and oh, hi. I know we're not doing the tapping demo yet, but here's my
Your dog is super excited about being the demo dog. I guess
yeah,
we better hurry it up.
yeah. So anyway, that's that's the whole story.
That's a great story. And so your dog is speeding things along. Tell us what emotional freedom technique. I always screw up the acronym. So EFT, not EMT, not
Yeah.
emergency medical training or technique.
No, we're not gonna do CPR.
Oh my gosh, look at her.
Although it could be emotional CPR, right? Is it emotional CPR? Anyway, so EFT. So eventually I continued learning. So I started doing animal communication pretty quickly. And I learned one other energy healing modality called scalar wave before I ended up learning EFT. And I did that on everyone. I mean, it would really calm animals down. And then a few years later, in about 2000, I was living in Denver and I was victim of a crime and I could not sleep. And so I I went to I I had to testify in court, which is part of the whole thing. So you're never supposed to, when you're supposed to testify as a victim or a witness, you're not supposed to get hypnotherapy. And so I was ready to sneak it so I could sleep, right? Because in the beginning, opening of my book, I say, and this is the truth, I could go to sleep right now in a bus station. Like the world could be going on around me, and I can take a nap. And so this hypnotherapist said, well, I have this other new modality called EFT. And I said, I'll try anything. And so we did one round and I started sleeping. And I thought, that is so cool. And I knew that like the EMDR modality, I knew you couldn't hypnotize a horse. And EMDR, where you do the rapid eye movement, you have to be a therapist in order to be trained in that. And how are you going to get a dog? Like, are you going to hold a ball up, or, you know what I mean? Like, to get them to go back and forth with the whole technique of releasing the trauma. So I wondered at the time, what if I could help at least the people that had fallen off the horse and had the broken collarbone, were afraid to get back on, or the people who had had their dog attacked on the street and now their dog was the attacker. Like those two, I seem to, for whatever reason, have a lot of like kind of empty nester women clients that had just gotten their first horse since their childhood and had a terrible accident. And, you know, or like I said, the dogs that were aggressive after having been attacked. And I knew in both cases, the rider would be afraid and the person holding the leash would be influencing the animal. So I got certified in EFT in 2001, just to tap on the people, not even tap on the animal, because I knew what an influence our, triggered nervous system has on the animal, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And so then while I was living in Florida, I had I worked with a horse trainer I rode with, and he brought me a million clients. And one day he called me from, I don't know if have you been to Wellington and seen that whole?
No, I haven't. It's a bucket list.
Yeah, it's insane. So I worked there a lot. And, after talking to a million animals here, I was doing it in Wellington. And so he called me and he said, Joan, you've got to come out to the showgrounds right now, because there's Shakespeare, this horse who was one of my clients, our mutual client. Shakespeare, big, huge warm blood. He is going after ponies in the warm-up ring. He's going to attack and kill the ponies. And I was like, well, I can talk to him on the phone and find out while he's doing it. I don't have to be there. He's like, no, you have to come. So I went out to the showgrounds, and when I got there, I'd never seen, how when a horse, they look like, when they're going after something with their teeth, they look prehistoric. And I thought, oh my God, I was scared for the girls on the ponies. So he was not backing off. And Chris is easily one of the best riders I've ever seen. And so for Chris to be scared and not be able to control him, I knew that we had to do something quickly. So I thought, I wonder if I try this EFT on the horse. So I wanted to get the horse's story first. And we went and communicated with him. And it turns out that he had been, as a young foal, he had been weaned early. And when he was early, he was put out with a bunch of ponies because they were his size. And as a result, those ponies picked on him, and he was terrified of them and really, really hated them. So he was going to pay them all back this day in the warm-up arena. And now I wish I could find all those young girls and tap with them, because they must still be terrified of big black warm bloods. So he he told me this story, and I know that like sometimes the initial communication can have the kind of like, "Oh, I got the story off my chest" effect. But the problem is that it was just too much to risk to have him to go back out there in the arena and go after these young girls. So I just thought, what the heck? One of the things I had studied in the 90s was acupressure, and I had originally been certified, and I, stuck with it for a while, but I didn't maintain my certifications in a lot of stuff. But I went and I knew the points on the people, and I knew the points, were the same for the horses because I knew acupressure. And so I started tapping on him about how I hate ponies. I hate ponies. I hate ponies. And he started licking and chewing, and, his eye rolled back into the back of his head. And so then we got to this sort of like, I'll forgive the ponies, and then I can let them be. And the next thing you know, we tentatively walked him out into the arena, and he didn't go after anyone. He gave them that side eye look, the white of his eye was wide open the whole time. But he later moved across the barn aisle from a pony and was fine. And eventually he retired in a paddock where he was seen grooming a pony. And that seemed impossible if you would have seen that pterodactyl, teeth coming out.
So,
that
so let me stop you there, because this is like a foreign language to some people of your process of I hate ponies, and then you're hitting an acupuncture or acupressure point. So it's almost like deprogramming, right?
That's a great way of putting it. So you're tapping on acupressure points, and acupressure points are connected to meridians. Meridians are connected to organ systems. And in traditional Chinese medicine, organ systems and meridians and organs are connected to emotions. So the Chinese believe that, and I believe that, say, for example, kidney is related to fear, or, so each of the meridians are connected to these big feelings. So what you're doing is you're taking a story, a rough story, and you're basically bringing all the triggers down by tapping on these very feel-good points. Each of these particular points are known for calming and relaxing an animal. And so as you're tapping through the rough story and then getting to kind of a resolution to transform of like, I'll forgive them, or I can let this go, then you start tapping in the outcome you want. And so eventually, even if you don't get rid of the story, you're not going to get rid of the memory, but it's not going to hold the same charge it once did.
Thank you for that explanation. I really do believe organs maintain memories. And I think it's really apparent in organ transplant patients.
Yes.
Is how they suddenly have memories of the transplantee, or the donor, I guess would be the better word. And I've experienced a couple friends who got organs and had total memories downloaded into them. One guy knew it was a Hispanic guy that he got, because he suddenly wanted tortillas and beans for lunch every single day. And they tracked it down. It was a Hispanic individual. So yes, and I believe DNA is like that too. So yeah. So I think it's interesting that you can deprogram, but it's audible. So you're tapping and you audibly say it over and over again. And then when you feel some sort of release, then you go into the more positive aspect of it. But Joan, not everybody can communicate with animals like you. So how do you get that backstory, or do you have to have that backstory?
That's the best question. So one of the things in the book that I wrote, Emotional Freedom Technique, is I have all these ways to investigate with the animal. So you might like not know exactly what it is, but you know that they won't get in the car or they won't do that thing because they seem afraid. So then it's emotional freedom technique, not story freedom technique, not
Good
history
point.
technique.
Good,
Right? So
good point.
we want to get rid of the feelings or the emotions that are involved with the with whatever it is that's making them, you know, like a horse not walking by the trash can. We might never know what boogeyman flew out of there one time, but you know, we know that they're afraid of the trash can. It's like, I'm afraid, you know, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. Oh, this is so dumb. You know, like you just keep going. And, you know, eventually you're just bringing it down. I love reading. I used to read a couple books a week and I'm almost there. I'm reading a lot again. And I was reading some healer recently said exactly how I see it. Like sometimes when you're healing a big thing, it's like I literally have used the exact same reference he has. It's like a chunk of the iceberg is coming off, right? Like there's still stuff in there, but you're chipping away at something that's had so much resistance for you.
That's so good. That's so interesting. And yes, emotional freedom. So it's probably like just little increments of just chipping away things. So when you go from anger, then what? Then you go to acceptance. And then
Yeah, yeah. And I always say that I actually don't use the terms um, negative or positive because if anger has saved your life, then that's been a pretty good deal. You know,
sometimes there's a healthy anger, right?
yeah. Um, so what we're looking for is the big emotions that aren't allowing you to move forward. And before we start tapping, we have kind of an ideal outcome. So we're moving to that. And as we're tapping, you know, we're looking for that big transition where there's like a, okay, and it is an acceptance. And then we start tapping on the, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm safe. And when we think about, I mean, animals want all the same things we want. They want safety, they want food, they want companionship, you know, so we're really moving them toward feeling safe because that kind of is the bottom line of all of it.
And freedom.
And freedom. Yeah.
And freedom. So that's the acronym in there included because
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. That's
And
really cool.
yeah, it's really cool because, you know, and going back to that freedom, a lot of times I just did a newsletter last week, like, I don't want to be hostage to these feelings. And that is, it is literally when I deal with people who have, you know, reactive dogs and they don't feel like they can take their dog out on the street for a walk because their dog is going to react, or a horse that bucks, or a cat that, you know, doesn't let anyone else in the bedroom, whatever it is, like you begin to feel like a victim yourself or a hostage to the situation. So then we need a certain amount of freedom too. And that's where tapping with us also becomes so important because then we aren't resentful and all the things that come with feeling like, or we're not resentful. We might feel guilty that we haven't been a good dog mom or whatever it is.
Yeah, I actually coined this phrase pet owner PTSD.
Yeah.
Because everybody's so overwhelmed. There's so much information now on the internet. There's all these amazing live events. You could, I think, 7 days a week attend something online, and people are fried and they're overloaded and they feel like such failures on their dogs, or their cats or their horses, but I see it more in dog owners, and they're just freaked out of their mind. So that's such a good point, is if you're tapping for yourself, your dog probably gets a lot of benefit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because we're too nervous and well, I have 3 dogs, 3 cats. I'm looking around at the gang, and 3 horses outside, right out there. So if I'm, all freaked out about something, I'm going to be high voltage, right? And that's not helping them. On the flip side of that, sometimes we can get great news, right? Like another book deal, or, whatever it is, that can also be high voltage. And that's, probably not the day to get on your horse. I mean, unless you have techniques to bring it down.
Yes. So do you treat yourself first, or do you treat the animal first?
I think it depends. I'll give you some examples. So for something where, somebody has been kind of stuck with a situation for a long time, I would treat the person, because they probably almost can't picture this being some other way, right? Especially with a reactive dog, you almost can't picture that you could walk down the street. And so you want to get at least the person not resenting the situation and feeling guilty, like they couldn't solve it, and the PTSD that you're talking about. And then I would work on the dog, of bringing the dog back to a sense of safety, because really the dog is often not, I mean, it just, the amount of times that people think that the dog is protecting them, when the dog is protecting themselves, because the person isn't the greatest leader that they think they are. By the time I get through those 2 tapping rounds, that person has such a different experience, because all of a sudden they're like, oh, and I'm not blaming them, but like, I could be a better leader. I've just been so caught up in all these emotions. So then the person is more like, I've got this, we're safe out here. And it changes everything. But it's interesting. So I'm tapping with a woman on Wednesday morning who I did an animal communication session with her the other day, and she didn't tell me anything about her horse. She just said, the age and the name. And she lives in Cyprus. And so it was late there by the time I did the session. Otherwise, I would have said, go to your barn, let's tap now. Anyway, so she ended up, so I communicated with the pony, and the pony had some sort of an injury on the left side, and had a real blind spot, right? Like, for those that don't know, horses have a really unique vision. And this injury was preventing this horse from really seeing right in front. And on the left side. And I said, I imagine that when you come across things, he has to look with his right eye, because the left eye doesn't really fully serve him. She goes, yeah, he does that. And I said, yeah, I think, there's some things we could do. And she'd read about me, so she knew about the tapping. And I said, yeah, we'll tap on this. So then she sends me a video. She's like, I kept thinking about what you said, and I never trained this horse to do this thing. I can't believe he's done this. He trained himself to do this. What he did when he was done lunging or anything, in the video, she had lunged him, and she pulls him toward her, and he just flips around, and he, on the side, he places himself right next to her, doesn't stop in front of her, right next to her. And I said, yeah, you are his left eye. You are his safety. The way that he placed himself, he taught himself to do that immediately. The minute, and she's like, I never knew where this came from. So we'll tap on that left eye so that he can feel safe in other ways, but I don't know why my thumb just did that. But
I was like, that's creepy. Just randomly, I'm like, I don't think you did that.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. So
Your dog's doing it for you.
yeah. High five. Yeah.
2 paws up.
Yeah.
Look at your dog. Your dog's adorable. Your dog's like, is it time yet?
I
Oh my
know.
gosh. So now you're going to go through this whole tapping session that you talk them through on Zoom, and they can sit in their barn and have this whole session with you. That's so cool.
Yeah. And we'll tap on the accident. We'll tap on the fear. We'll tap on just trusting her even more. Because what she told me was like, yeah, he spooks so randomly that I just can't even. And I said, well, he's missing part of his sight.
Can you repair that? Is that something you do, or is it, do you ask? Like I always ask, is this something that can be fixed?
I would think through cranial sacral, it could be fixed. I would think that just moving some bones around and getting more availability in that eye socket is going to shift it.
We have a lot of cranial sacral people in this membership, and one of our members always checks the vision on all sorts of angles before she works on the horses, and notices a lot of them have blind spots and then fixes it. So
yeah,
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And
I
then,
take cranial sacral, and I know enough to just kind of like give some relief for the minute. But again, I never stayed up with all my body work certifications. So now my dogs are like completely. She engaged the other one. If she can't go to
she
work,
can't
then
take the scene. She can't steal the show today. She's going to move over
yeah,
to the other
stay right
dog.
here. So all the dogs are right here.
Well, since your dog is so impatient right now, do you
Yeah.
want to solve your dog?
Sure.
Once we started talking about emotional freedom technique, your dog totally quieted down for a little while. So
yeah.
unfortunately, your dog is kind of controlling this.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is Penelope, and now
pretty
she,
girl.
yeah. So I'll just show you the tapping points. It's inside of the eye, outside of the eye, under the eye, on top of the nose, under the chin, inside of the chest, and top of the head. And there is a spleen point for humans, but you know, when you're dealing with a reactive dog or a horse that maybe is reactive, I don't like reaching around and surprising somebody. So I keep it all in a safe zone. So let's say we could do, I am so bored. I am bored. I really want to chase a cat, but I am so bored. I am so bored. Can't we do that EFT thing now? Can't we start working now? I am so bored. I want to do something. Maybe one of the dogs will play. Maybe one of the cats will run. Oh, I want to do something. I know. I want to do something. I've got to do something. But you know what? We're still working. We can work. We can work. We're okay. I know we'll have fun in a minute. We'll have fun soon. I can calm down.
That is so sweet. I love that look on your dog's face right now.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so it's just super fast.
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of, Maureen knows I can do some long tapping. But Maureen's she's gone through the whole thing. I mean, she could be tapping with people too. But I like to just keep it really simple with the animals. I might go longer with the human because there's just more involved.
Humans are more complicated. I was amazed that you actually are certified in human treatments. I think that's amazing, but also humans don't always want to be well, where animals usually always want to be well, right? And so
Yeah.
I kind of avoid humans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I got another certification in 2012 with Margaret Lynch, who's a big, wonderful, wonderful human tapper. Just because I wanted to stay like, what's the latest, right? And that was 10 years, 11 years ago. But since then, I've sort of allowed it to morph and be what it is for animals and people. But I feel like if, I always joke that working with animals could eventually bring about world peace, because if we listen to them, we might start listening to each other.
Well, and I think it's amazing that your dog is just sitting there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, not drawing a lot of attention, not playing, like totally at peace with the situation.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It'd be fun, if you want me to come back in a couple months or something, we'll do it on horses. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm totally game. Like I said, I've been intrigued by this technique. Interesting that it's mostly around the face. Is that right? Or are you doing the whole meridian points?
It's bladder 1, triple heater 23, stomach 1. This is governing vessel. And then this is kidney 27. And then this is governing vessel. This is actually, I kind of tap around because there's a whole bunch of points up here. And see,
Okay.
she's like doing.
Joan, can you hurt them with this?
No, someone asked me on the radio the other day, is there any fallout from this? I'm like, yeah, you might not have a story to tell your friends at work about what a jerk your dog is, right? Like, we might not have that story anymore.
Yeah. No, I always get after people who label their dogs rescues. And I'm like, they're a rescue for a minute, but after a while, they're no longer a rescue. They're family members.
This is what I say. I'm
Yeah.
like, rescue is not a breed.
Yep. And so maybe this will get the rescue out of people.
Yeah, I'm adopted. I'm a family member. I am loved. Yeah, she just cleaned my nostril. So
That's so cute. She's adorable.
she's a
And
good girl.
and how old is she?
She's 3.
Oh, she's baby still. She's all
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
She looks like a handful, Joan.
She is. Yeah, my 12-year-old is a kangaroo when it's time to go on an HIKE. So they're all handfuls. I have three puppies one is 3, one is 6, and one is 12. But they all have big puppy energy. So my house is pretty rowdy.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So no harm known, or not normally potentially any harm. You're not tapping hard. You're just
Very
using.
lightly. Very lightly.
And does it work on everything, or is there something where you're like, it didn't quite work for that?
I've yet to see it not work. The one thing you might see is like, just like humans, maybe a dog is really stoic and is hanging on to their story for some reason. So maybe it's going to take a few rounds, So that's the only thing I've seen. Or the other thing is, maybe the people didn't believe in it, and so they just sort of went back to their old behavior patterns that are triggering the patterns for the animal.
That makes sense. So if you're not letting go, even, I noticed that when I pray for people and when I actually see the prayers answered, sometimes I don't realign with the new image. Even though I wanted that for them and it actually happened, I still think of them in the past. And so I catch myself and go, no, erase that. That's gone now.
Yeah. And that's, we do that with our animals.
exactly. So I guess we have to like tap to, let's see them new. Let's,
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important.
so for us, how would we tap us and why would we tap us? Like everybody's sitting here on Zoom and on the Facebook live stream. And by the way, Julie just got her book in the mail. She's super excited.
Oh, that's so great.
Yes.
Let's see what, um,
I think overstimulation or distractions in this modern day, or like that PTSD aspect of pet owners would be good for, what do you guys think on Zoom?
yeah, I'm happy to do that. Let's do that.
I'm gonna bring the gallery in. If you guys want to turn on your videos, you can. And what's your biggest pain point, ladies? Pet owner pain points. Maureen, jump in there, unmute.
Oh, sorry. What was the question? I'm sorry.
What's your biggest pet owner pain point emotionally?
Oh, I don't know. What do you
Okay,
mean?
Suzabelle, jump in there.
So the suffering,
Suffering, watching your animals, wondering if you've done a good enough job, no, wondering if they're in pain. Julie, what about you?
I'm dealing with the reactiveness with other dogs, which I can't get over no matter what I do.
And
wait, say
that's
that
your
again?
personal.
Your dog is reactive?
When she's sweet as punch and great until she sees another dog, and then she turns into the Tasmanian devil. Much better, but we have a long way to go.
And
Yeah, that-
Julie, are you suffering from pet owner PTSD over it?
No, I'm trying not to. It's been, I was initially probably.
Okay, but let's break that down for a second, because if you're trying not to, then you're resisting. And if you're resisting, you're still stuck with it. So what was that, I mean, this is interesting because that is really pretty, the Tasmanian devil thing is pretty, Maureen has seen people in classes be able to walk their dogs again, right, Maureen?
Yeah.
So,
I have one that
I can
didn't,
walk
but the
by
others do.
I can walk by other dogs now, but she still has her moments of going crazy.
And
And what were you-
I've had reactive dogs where especially when I lived in LA, I didn't trust the other dog owner.
yeah,
Bingo.
I'd be like, exit, I'm not gonna trust you. You look out of control. I need to evacuate. Yeah.
so Suzabelle, what were you saying with your situation?
It's just that feeling of hopelessness, that he's not getting over it, that I can't do more to get him through it.
Okay, and what has he got going on?
He's got chronic sinus issues that are probably from vax damage and mold exposure. And I have Lyme, so he could be picking up on me.
You know what, I just lost a cat, and we had mold exposure
Mhm.
8 years ago, and it just
Mhm.
slowly
Yeah,
got her.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else that we can add to the pet owner PTSD tapathon?
Tapathon.
I mean, that's it for us, I think.
And
Okay.
Sherry, you're on here. If you're listening, put it in the chat if you want. And Teresa also, would love to hear from you. Heather Drummond is saying my dog is an 11-year-old rescue from South Carolina. I've had him since the end of April, and he is doing this periodically where he is sleeping or just laying down or standing by me, away from me. And he seems to spontaneously do like a Bambi on ice thing where he is scared out of nowhere and there's no visible audible reason. So I kind of call it seeing ghosts.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank
And then just type something in.
And Sherry says, I don't have a dog anymore. Oh, it can be horses too. Sherry,
Mhm.
you definitely have a horse. So all animals, Sherry.
Yeah.
And Teresa, I know you have multiple animals too. So Sherry, is there anything, I know you're like romantically in bliss with your horse right now.
That's pretty great.
It is.
That is so funny you see that because it's absolutely true.
Look at you
Um,
glowing.
He, I don't know anything about him. I truly don't. He was pulled from a kill pen. I know that he was sold as a yearling, and that was the last piece of information I could find about him. I have no idea where he lived or what happened to him for the last 15 years. He does have very symmetrical white hair stripes under his jaws. And to me, it looks like where a rope halter would fit. So I wonder if there had been some sort of accident or abuse with him. Was something on his head. When I got him, he was extremely head shy and ear shy. But I'll tell you guys, he is just the most chill boy now. He's wonderful. He is not, he knows he's got a good thing going.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I love the glow on your face. Gabby is saying that her
thank
horse
you.
was abused in the racetrack, and Heather's also saying, yes, I think it's seeing ghosts. She believes they pick on him and she smudges the house, but apparently not enough. I actually don't think smudging helps you guys. I think it moves it, but
I'm more of a sound. I like doing more sound, like bells and things to clear energy.
I actually yell at it. I see you and get out of here in the name of Jesus. Go.
Well, that is therapy.
I just
For
think
my-
of the demon by the horns.
Yeah,
I'm a
my sound therapy sometimes involves cuss words also.
I can attest for that one.
actually.
All right,
Gigi, by the way, was abused.
And Gabby
too.
is saying that she has a patient that gets aggressive sometimes when he's being pet. So Gabby is a veterinarian in Mexico.
oh, cool.
Yeah, super cool. We have a veterinarian from Palo Santo too.
Very cool. Well, what we'll do with the tapping, so for humans, we start out with this point here. And of course, I've forgotten what it is, but I have a vet partner and we teach acupressure. And this point is almost considered like an aspirin point. And I tend to do both. So you're just hitting this for a moment. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to say it and you're all going to repeat after me and follow along. So we'll just get started. I think I have pet parent PTSD and I love and accept myself.
I think I have pet parent PTSD and I love and accept myself.
Oh my God, there's so much information and I can't keep up with it all.
Oh my God, there's so much information and I cannot keep up with it all.
And I still have the problems.
And I still have problems? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I still have problems.
And I still have problems.
So even though I can Google everything,
Even though I can Google everything,
I am not resolving my issues and it's making me insane.
I am not resolving my issues, and I won't use that word. And
Okay,
it's tilting me to a little level of stress.
okay, and I'm stressed. And I love and accept myself.
And I love and I accept myself,
Even though this is so hard.
even though this is so hard.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure on people to be perfect pet people.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure on people to be perfect pet people,
And it is really hard.
and it is really hard.
And I honor the choices I'm making.
And I honor the choices that I'm making.
I have this challenge.
I have this challenge.
I have this challenge.
I have this challenge.
And I don't know if I'm able to get the right help.
And I don't know if I'm able to get the right help. I always think I know that there is help out there, though. I think there's always help, Joan. I think there's always an opportunity.
But when you're hopeless, it's so that's where we'll just go with this, because what I heard is the hopelessness. So if we go with this as the challenge, we'll get to the hope.
Okay, cool.
Great. Okay. So I have this challenge.
I have this challenge.
It's very hard.
It's very hard.
1 minute it feels great,
1 minute it feels great,
and then the next minute I can't get a hold of it.
and then the next minute I can't get a hold of it.
And I don't know if it's me.
And I don't know if it's me.
I feel like I'm doing all the right things.
I feel like I'm doing all the right things.
And then I don't know if it's the animal.
And then I don't know if it's the animal.
And then I feel like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this?
And then I feel like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this?
I can't seem to help.
I can't seem to help.
I feel so guilty.
I feel so guilty.
I feel so guilty.
I feel so guilty.
I feel like I failed my dog, cat, or horse.
I feel like I failed my dog, cat, and horse.
And I don't know what to do.
I praying to God for what to do.
I feel so guilty.
I feel so guilty.
I feel so guilty.
I feel so guilty.
I feel hopeless.
I don't feel hopeless, but
Well, other people do. So we'll go
you
blank.
guys
So
can say that. I'm not gonna articulate it. Words have
Yeah.
power. Words have power.
but words have powers. If emotions are underneath there, the emotions have more power than the
Okay,
word.
I'm disappointed.
Well, somebody used the word hopeless, so I'm going to go with the script.
Okay,
I feel hopeless. I feel hopeless. It makes me feel hopeless. And then I'm disappointed.
I definitely feel disappointed.
I am disappointed.
I am disappointed.
I am disappointed.
I am disappointed.
And I am frustrated.
And I am frustrated.
I am so frustrated.
I am so frustrated.
I am so frustrated.
I am so frustrated. I think your dog is getting frustrated.
The cat, she sees the cat. I am frustrated.
I am frustrated.
I am frustrated.
I am frustrated.
I have been disappointed and frustrated.
I have been disappointed and frustrated.
And I am really ready to let this go.
And I'm really ready to let this go.
I am ready to let this go.
I am really ready to let this go.
I am ready to accept that I maybe don't know everything.
I am willing to accept that maybe I don't know everything.
And I am going to just be.
And I am going to just be.
And I am going to allow God or the source or the universe to take over.
I'm going to allow God to take over.
I am going to allow God to take over.
I'm going to allow God to take over.
Because I don't need to do this one.
because I don't need to do this one,
But I can be relaxed about it
but I can be relaxed about it
because it's out of my hands.
because it's out of my hands.
It's out of my hands.
It's out of my hands.
And I already start to feel better.
And I am already starting to feel better.
I'm feeling better
I'm feeling better
and I'll take it.
and I'll take it.
All
Joan,
right.
does this help your beauty?
What's that?
Does it improve your looks, your beauty? Because all the stress falls away.
I think it does. And I think also like the tapping on is going to bring circulation.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, oh, I think this is like a beauty thing.
Yeah, it could definitely be a beauty thing.
Cool. I'm glowing now.
Yeah. Do you feel like, did you feel like a little chunk come off?
I totally did. I totally did. What about you, ladies? Those of you on the Zoom and you guys on Facebook. Belle says thank you. She got kicked off Zoom. So yes. Cool. Very cool, Joan.
Yeah, and it's amazing because I know sometimes it's hard with the certain words. People have said to me, "Oh, well, I don't want to feel negative emotions." It's like, but if it's under there, we want to bring it up and out. And so it really, it's amazing how much it just works, and it'll keep working for a while tonight, right?
Do you think animals have a lot of repressed emotions? I do. I mean, I think suppression is one of the components to disease.
Absolutely. I mean, we know that animals have to mask in the wild,
Right.
right? They have to mask for survival in the wild. They're built to mask. Think about how many mares are so stoic.
Yeah. And protecting their babies. And I have deer here that have babies. I had a deer that gave birth on my driveway.
Oh,
I was like, that is the worst place. What made you think that? But let's move your babies. So newborn babies, I had to pick them up. They were screaming their heads off. I felt so bad. I'm like, look, you guys have to move. But yes, so and those mamas just watched me do it. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Now I'm gonna be like, I am sorry.
yeah. I feel so guilty, but I was trying.
No.
I was helping. I was helping. I am helping.
Oh my goodness. It's almost natural. Once you start doing that, you kind of
Yeah.
like start gravitating to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's yeah, so I think it's amazing for us and it's amazing for them, because even though the cat is torturing, now he's over there. He's torturing her, and yet she's staying relaxed. This is, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, actually, she's starting to go to sleep.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing, you guys. What do you think? Are you guys excited about this?
Poppy,
Yes.
if I don't have time to do the whole thing, if I just do the karate chop, that's even enough to take you down a little bit. You know, if I'm sitting someplace in public and I just gotta chill.
Yes,
hit-
and I have girlfriends that do that. I'll have girlfriends, they'll just like feel a little tension coming up and you can see them like, but I didn't know there was articulation going with it. And that was kind of my fail, I think, is where I was like, what's going on here? I don't really know.
Yeah, and the other thing is I found that I'll be really frustrated about something in my life, right? And I'll start to journal the feelings that I think I should be tapping on. And the next thing you know, the whole thing starts to fall away before I even get to tap. And I'll tap just to go through the motions because I'm a tapper. But it's amazing how you can almost start to think in terms of, I can get to that outcome if this other thing collapses. And so I'm ready for this to go away.
Well, and with Belle and her cat that's been chronic, and It's a very, very tough situation. She would tap herself first and then she would go through tapping her cat. Now,
Yeah.
Joan, how do people get a hold of you and how do we order your book?
So my book is everywhere that books are sold, and it's on Amazon and all of that. And I'll pull it up again. This is, I love the paper.
Oh, your dog.
He's like, are we doing something? So anyway, here's the book. The new
Here, let
book.
me highlight you and spotlight it so everybody can see. Whoops, where's my remove spotlight? There you go, extra large. That's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, thank you. And so, yeah, this is on all the places. And my website is joanranquet.com, JoanRanquet.com.
Excellent. And Teresa says she's driving, so she's definitely not tapping with us, but great content. And Heather's saying she's going to do it for her dog so he can tell the ghosts to buzz off.
Yeah.
And Joan does a live at 10 every Tuesday morning.
Oh, you're live at 10 on your Facebook page?
Yeah, and learn to communicate with animals. Yes.
And is that a paid program or a membership or anything like that?
It's just free.
Excellent. Well, you guys feel free to hop on Joan's Facebook page. And what's the address for that? Just Joan Ranquet?
No, it's learn to communicate with animals with Joan.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat.
It's on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah. And then Maureen, where are you with your case studies?
My gosh.
Some days good, some days not good.
Because I would
I-
think,
I've got about 25 animal communication done. I've got about 20 scalar, EFT, maybe 5.
okay, well, I mean,
Or not scalar, the
me-
other way.
case studies. So even like the woman with the cat, that would be so good.
Okay. Question,
people-
the ones in that come up to do scalar and stuff in the group, can I count those as case studies?
In our private group, those don't count.
So Joan,
Okay,
we
that's
actually have a dissection team that we have a Facebook Live with coming up. And I have asked them if we could get the name of the animal and everybody would have an opportunity to, I call it scan this animal prior to dissection and then see if we're on track. Would that count?
For Maureen, yeah, that would count.
Okay, there you go.
Oh,
Maureen.
okay. Yeah, I just
And
gotta
there's a
get off
couple
work
other
tomorrow.
ladies in the group that need to get their case studies done.
Yeah, that would count.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay,
Unless you're really,
yeah, that's great.
and then we won't tell Joan.
No,
Those sections are crazy.
Excellent. Joan, thank you for your time. It's such an honor and
Oh
a
my
pleasure
God.
having you and your
It
dog
was-
back.
yes, she didn't want to miss the goodbye. And now another dog is here. So anyway,
That's so sweet.
Thank
Well,
you.
enjoy the weather. And
thank you.
hopefully you're staying cool and there's no power outages in SoCal.
Yeah, and if I have to, I get in the dog pool.
Hopefully I'll meet you in person one day.
I would love that.
I would
love-
too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I might be in Buellton this weekend. I actually haven't solidified my plans, but yes, I come down to SoCal every once in a while. So if I do, I'll reach out to you and say hi.
yeah. Do you have my, I'll email you back my phone number.
Fantastic. I do have it. Your tech team gave it to me just in case we screwed up on our
Okay.
connection today. So wonderful. Thank you for coming along the membership, teaching us tapping. And I do
Thank
feel
you.
better.
Yeah, and we'll have to, when you run out of guests, you can just call me and see if I'm around and we'll do a horse.
Fantastic. They'll be fun. We could do it live there.
Yeah, yeah, that would be really fun.
That could be cool. All right.
Yeah.
Take care, you guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.
See you
All right,
next
thank
Monday
you.
with Brianna Hamamoto, which is first responding for animal emergencies. And that's our next week. Bye, ladies. Take care.
Bye.
Like
Thank
today.
you.